Every business owner needs a personal brand. That is how I think I should start this podcast. And I know when somebody is going to come to me like, I don't need a personal brand in this particular case. And I'm going to look with this person. Do you really need a personal brand? And I have to say, maybe for you, you don't need a personal brand. Of course, that could always be the case. But I think my opinion is every business owner needs a personal brand. That's what we're going to talk about today. Hi, I'm Cornelia. I am your host with Business I've No Clue the podcast. Welcome to the family. If you're new here, if this is the first time listening, and if you're listening for a longer time, welcome back. Today is about personal branding because maybe you've thought about personal branding before, but it feels overwhelming. What does it actually mean, a personal brand? Or maybe you're just trying to get clients and wondering, is this really necessary, a personal brand? Let me share a story with you. Because before I understood personal branding, I just posted. I shared my daily life on Instagram. I recorded myself throughout the day, made a great story. People actually watched from start to end, which was awesome. 90% retention rate. And that's a lot. Most people have like 10% retention rate on stories. So short stories, storylines on Instagram. It was amazing. I shared whatever I was doing throughout the day. And I thought as long as I was showing up, I was doing enough. I was putting myself out there. Wasn't that what I was supposed to do? The thing is, I didn't grow. I had people commenting on it, but nobody was sharing my account with anybody. Nobody was, I don't know, this was before Reels became a thing. But people didn't find me when it came to my business. I wasn't growing, not anywhere, not on my podcast, not on LinkedIn, not on Instagram, not anywhere. And when I look back right now, I completely understand why that did not work. Because when you were coming to my account and you looked, for instance, let's take Instagram as an example. And you looked at my Instagram profile, you were like, yeah, that's nice. I'm not sure what you do. I'm not sure what you could help me with. I am not sure why am I here? Why should I actually follow you of all people? There are so many people out there. Why should I follow you? There was just no reason to follow me. I was just blending in the noise. And when you don't know what you could gain from following me in this case, you're not going to do that. And this was so frustrating, showing up every day, which was like an effort in itself, and getting no results. And I'd see people around me growing and figuring it out, landing clients, becoming these successful business owners. And I'm like, yeah, well, I'm still here with 100 followers. Good luck. And I kept thinking, what is going wrong? Why does this not work? And I can imagine maybe you feel invisible online too. You might post, you might not post, but either way, no one is engaging. It feels like you have to scream and use these super bold statements to be heard, or join every single trend that is out there to gain traction. Or maybe you just keep attracting the wrong people, the people that you actually don't really like. The ones that are following you, but they're not real people. Or they expect everything for free. Or they don't value what you do. I totally understand. I've been there. Continuing the story, I put in all this work to creating amazing content. Thinking about it, I have to film myself in this particular way. And then I have to prop my phone up there to that glass so I can make sure that I capture my laptop and me when I'm sitting down to start working. I thought about it all. I did. But what somebody would come up to me in real life or online and ask me, what do you do? And I realized people had no idea what I was doing. Like, none. Zero. No clue at all. And the people, like family and friends, because that was what it was, They were watching, but they're not gonna buy from me. They connected, they interacted, but they're not buyers. They were not the right clients. They're not the right people in my space um, to actually buy from me. And that is not a problem per se, but the fact that they did not know what I was doing meant they couldn't share it with the people around them because they could be my greatest advocates, but when they don't know what you do, why would they? So I didn't position myself as the go-to expert in my field, as a unique expert in my field. And maybe you're there too and you feel like people are not taking me seriously enough as an expert. I am really good at my stuff, but it seems like the people around me have no idea. Because somehow you're not positioned as the go-to person in your niche. Or maybe you're just tired of feeling like you have to compete on like everything because clients don't see your value, that you have to just lower your prices to make sure that people come to you. The worst part about it, when people ask me, oh, what do you do? I didn't know what to say. I had no clue what to answer them. How should I position this in the exact right way to make sure that people will understand this is what I do, this is the solution, this will be the result, and they have to come to me for that? Sounds so simple, but I didn't know how to make sure and how to make that clear without using like a 10-minute soliloquy. I had no real direction on what to say, on what to connect to my brand. There was no clarity. The message was all over the place, but it never really stuck. And I can imagine that you struggle with content too. Maybe you feel like every time that you try to sit down and you have no idea what to post, or you have a post up already, and you're like, posting this? That, I'm not sure if this is gonna work. And the fear and the block just take over. And honestly, this crossed my mind too throughout this whole process. Maybe I'm just not meant to be visible. Maybe I just need to try and figure out a different way to make my business work. Or maybe marketing is just harder for me because I'm an introvert. I'm a highly sensitive person. I can't think so long before I actually start posting stuff. It's just not work for me. Maybe I should just focus on making great courses and focus on that. Let it speak for itself. Fun thing, you need clients to make it speak for itself. So marketing actually truly comes first. Being seen is important, and I get it. What if people judge me? What if I got criticism? What if no one cared? These are all thoughts that cross my mind. And I can imagine they crossed yours too. And I realized after a while, after the struggle of, I think, 2 years or so, I realized something. The people who are growing around me, they weren't just posting. They weren't just sharing their daily habits, their daily stuff that they did. They might be doing that, but they actually were connecting it to their personal brands. They had a personal brand. They had fabricated, this is what I'm going to put out in the world. This is what I think. This is who I am. But this part of me that is connected to my business, I'm going to make sure that it's clear. That is a clear vision, that there's a clear reason to follow me, that there's a message, a perspective, and it's something that made them stand out. So what if people started to recognize you as the go-to person in your industry? What if your brand did the heavy lifting for you so you could spend less time selling and actually ask more money for the same products? What if marketing actually felt easier because you knew exactly what to say? Well, when the moment I realized people have a personal brand, I thought, I guess it's time for me to figure out what this is. I need a personal brand too. And I can imagine if you feel like the whole being visible part, a personal brand, are really nice, but how does it fit with me as an introvert? I have a webinar, a free webinar that you can join. Become visible in an introvert-friendly way and attracting the right clients. And in this webinar, I'll teach you the principles you need to be visible in a way that actually fit your personality. The link is in the show notes. So if you want to know even more, join me there. Let's dive in on what is a personal brand. Because a personal brand is not just a business brand. A business brand is very fixed. If you think about Netflix, I have no idea who founded Netflix, but I do know if I want to watch nice series, great movies, spend my night on the couch, I need Netflix, right? That is a business brand. The fact that the stuff that I mentioned about Netflix, that is the things that in 100 years, when this brand still exists, it probably will, people will say the exact same thing. And the difference with a personal brand is that it's about you. It is about you as entrepreneur. And it means that your business is connected to it, obviously. However, your personal brand can change a little bit over time. They still need to know, hey, struggling with my introversion as entrepreneur, I need to go to Cornelia. When I struggle with becoming visible online, I need to go to Cornelia. When I struggle with course creation, I want to create an online course, no idea how, need to go to Cornelia. These are the topics that are connected to my brand. However, if I feel like changing this in the future, and I'm gonna say, hey, I also started another business, people will move to me to the other business as well, making that other business probably instantly a lot more successful than if you had to start from scratch. So having a personal brand, it makes sure that people see you as the expert, that people associate the right topics with you. When people talk about you, that is what your personal brand is. The stories that I share about you as a person when you're not there. And you have influence on what you put out there. So you have influence on what they share in that room when you're not there. And it has to go about the topics that are connected to your brand. Like the topics that are already mentioned for my brand, being visible, introversion / highly sensitive person, course creation, and this is all for business owners. But it's not, and these are the topics because this is connected to something you can buy from me. Being visible and introversion is connected to one course, Shine as Introverted Boss. Course creation is connected to the Course Creation Academy that I will build in a year or so. But I do know that I want that, so I'm sharing stuff about that. It is not about dogs. I own a dog, but I don't have something I sell that is interesting, that is a connection to this topic. I don't sell anything horse related, even though I have a horse, so that's not a topic for me. I love dancing, but it's not a topic for me. I'm not explaining how to do certain steps or do the salsa or whatsoever. I'm not explaining how to make music. I love singing. I love playing the piano, and it might show up on my stories. However, it is not a central topic. So your personal brand, it is you. Your business is a part of it, but it's not the whole thing. And it means that people associate the right topics with you. It's a little bit more flexible than just a standard business brand. You as owner, you can own businesses and talk about your businesses, and in that way move people into that direction. Like buy candles from me if you're like a candle producing business. And it has certain topics connected to it. So when you think about the people that you follow online, chances are you don't just follow them because of the person alone. You follow them because of what they're talking about. They have connected certain topics to their brand. You follow them because they have a certain perspective. You follow them because they have a certain energy, certain values. That is personal branding right in action. I think, for instance, Sarah Blakely has a very strong personal brand with very funny, very relatable stories on her Instagram. But she's always talking about how sneaks is the thing that she's busy with. The high heels that you can buy as a woman do not have sore feet at the end of the day. The fact that I know this, I don't even have the shoes. There probably will be a point for them. will be buying them because I'm so enthusiastic about Sarah Blakely as a person. That is how personal branding works. And if you feel like, okay, now I know what a personal brand is, really great. How am I actually going to be visible? I have a free webinar that you can sign up for that will show you how to be visible and attract clients in a way that actually fits your personality style as introvert. The link is in the show notes. And if you want more, I'll see you there. How can you then use your personal brand? Or better said, how can you build your personal brand? Because when I dived into personal branding, I observed and learned that you need around like 4 categories of unique selling points that connect to your brand. Because if you're only sharing information, you're so replaceable. If you're only documenting, people are like, yeah, whatever. There's nothing in it for them. But if you share just information, to come back to that example, to that point, people can Google. They use Instagram as Google as well. They use TikTok for Google. They use YouTube as Google. Everything is a search engine where people could actually look for information. But your information, as for instance, if you are like if you are a holistic coach, the stuff that you put out there, the advice, no. If you are a dietist, the stuff that you put out there is the same as basically every other dietist. So who cares who is sharing this? And if you're only documenting your day, like, hi, I'm making this, I don't know, meal right now, it's super healthy, you're just forgettable. People can get recipes anywhere. One of the categories that I'm going to share with you here, the other 3 are in my online course, Shine as Introverted Boss. But I will share one with you, one that I think is very important. All 4 are important. However, opinions. People are connected to you because you have an opinion about a certain topic. When you start sharing opinions, people are starting to pay attention. Your personal brand needs opinions. And your opinion should be tied to your brand topics, the themes that you always talk about. Like, for instance, what I said before, my brand, that is being visible, introversion and highly sensitivity as a business owner, and course creation. Those are the 3 topics that are connected to my brand at this very moment. I do have opinions about these themes, these topics that I talk about, that I connect literally everything I'm sharing to. I like to give you a couple of examples regarding visibility. I think as entrepreneur, you need a personal brand. There's no doubt about it. You need a personal brand. So that's one of my opinions that I'm sharing out there, putting out there, especially by recording this podcast. Another opinion that I have is perfection doesn't exist when it comes to being visible. It actually doesn't exist at all. But for the visibility part, perfection doesn't exist when it comes to being visible, because it only is going to hold you back in the long run. And I can literally talk for hours about this. Why perfectionism is something you should just let go. Being visible, another opinion of mine, is that being visibility is a skill. It is not something you're born with. You can learn this. Anyone can actually learn this skill. I don't believe that just copy pasting strategies from people is going to work for you. You need the skill of figuring out how you can use storytelling, of how you can make sure that people connect the right topics to you, of how you make certain content. That is a skill. And I really think that anyone can learn it. Other examples might be, if you're a designer, that good branding isn't just about looks, it's about psychology behind it. Well, hence the opinions. There are so many ways that you can use opinions. And in the online course, we identify like 3 unique selling points per category. I have way more per category. I just document them at some place, like, okay, this is what I think, this is what I think, this is what I think. And I put out that as well. If you feel like, okay, I'm going to add opinions to my personal brand now, and you're liking the episode so far, and you maybe have learned something new, let me know by sending this episode to a business friend who can learn from this, or screenshot this and share it in your stories. Tag me. I'd love to hear where you're at. So you now know what a personal brand is. You know that opinions are a very important part about building a personal brand. And I want to ask you this. What if people actually started recognizing you as the go-to person in your industry? What would that mean for your business? What will the result be if you are there? If you're just like the go-to expert, journalist, they call you because you're the person they need to have. So you're gaining expert status in the media. Maybe you're just growing your Instagram account through, I don't know, 10,000, 100,000 followers. Maybe you're growing your TikTok account through that amount of followers. Or you're just starting a YouTube channel and people are like, yeah, if I need to know something about, let's say, diets, I need to make sure that I Google Susan, for instance. What if that would be the case for you? What would your life look like then? I think it also means that you don't have to convince people all the damn time to buy from you because they already trust you. They have a connection with you. They believe that it almost feels like you're their friend, even though you've never met them. That is the feeling that your clients can have. And that means that buying from you is also a lot easier. This way, your brand can do the heavy lifting for you. So you can spend less time on marketing, less time on actually selling, and more time on making a real difference for your clients. In a second, I'm going to come to the end of the story that I started this podcast with, the personal brand story. But before I do, I just want to mention one last time. If you feel like, okay, a brand, really nice, really great, but how do I actually start to become visible online and attract clients in an introvert-friendly way? I'm teaching you the 7 principles that you need to do that. The link is in the show notes and I'd love to see you there. And if this inspired you, share it please with someone who needs to hear it. Screenshot it, tag me on Instagram, and let me know where you're at, what kind of opinions you're going to add to your brand. Because that is really going to help me share this message into this world. And looking back at the whole way that I started my Instagram account and my podcast and my business, I completely realized what I did wrong. I had this personal brand that people had no idea what to share about me. So person A would say, yeah, she has a nice horse. Person B would say, yeah, I love her because she has this rescue dog. And a person C might say, didn't you do something in personal growth training or something like that? It was not cohesive. It was not the right story that they shared about me and my brand. What I now know about branding and building an expert status, I use opinions in my brand all the time, and I also use the other 3 categories that are coming back in the Shyness Introverted Boss course. I finally am attracting the right clients when I'm visible. I don't even have this huge following yet, and that's okay. I'm attracting the right clients. I have this strong personal brand. People know where to find me. People are calling me like, hey, can you come and give this training on communication, on building your business, on being introvert as entrepreneur? And that is because I spent the time to build this personal brand. So I'm going to sign off with this. What if you stop hiding behind a business name and actually let people see you, see what happens, see how much more valuable your business is going to be? Thank you for listening, and I'll talk to you soon.